A 4 to 5 hour drive from Los Angeles and San Francisco, and just over an hour's drive from Fresno, are California's Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. Established in 1890, Sequoia National Park is named after one of the largest tree species on the planet and is home to one of the USA's highest peaks. Neighboring Kings Canyon lays just to the north, plunging 2,000 feet deeper into the earth than Arizona's Grand Canyon. Yet, despite their differences, these parks share much in common. Their valleys have been shaped by the snow-fed cascades of the central Sierra Nevada, while from their soils rise giant sequoias, some of which first put down roots 3,000 years ago, long before the rise of the Roman Empire. Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks are living timelines that remind us that we have small parts in a story far greater than our own. After passing Sequoia's iconic entrance sign, follow Route 198 through the park's sunlit foothills into the dappled shadows of its conifer zone. Pull over at Tunnel Rock, where generations of motorists left their mark before the road was rerouted in 1997. 4 miles on at Hospital Rock, see the marks of even earlier travelers, the Potwisha people, who for centuries used this healing place as a winter encampment. Follow the hairpins ever upwards for another 8 miles. Then turn left and follow the gentle melody of Yucca Creek into the depths of Crystal Cave. Discovered by 2 park employees while on a fishing trip in 1918, these marble caves have been shaped and polished by snowmelt for over 100,000 years. After exploring the park's subterranean worlds, turn your gaze skyward at the Four Guardsmen, a grove of 1,000-year-old sequoias. But these are mere adolescents compared to what lays just beyond in the giant forest. Call into the Giant Forest Museum to learn more about the sequoia tree, named after the Cherokee scholar who created the first alphabet for his people and inspired the creation of writing systems for pre-literate languages all over the world. Which is somewhat ironic, for as you walk beneath the 8,000 sequoias of the giant forest, chances are you'll be lost for words. From the museum, take the Big Trees Trail, a wheelchair-friendly circuit where you'll find favorites such as Ed by Ned, twin sequoias whose combined footprint is as large as a swimming pool. Two miles on from the museum, pay your respects to one of the park's elder statesmen, General Sherman, which rockets 16 stories into the sky and contains as much wood as an average 20-acre pine forest. After straining your neck muscles looking up at one of the world's largest living beings, take the 10-minute drive to Morrow Rock. Climb the 400 steps up the bald granite dome which juts from the mountainside. To the west, look down on Route 198, which zigzags up from the valley floor. To the east, gaze out to the peaks of the Great Western Divide, piercing the clouds at over 13,000 feet. While to the north, feel the call of even more adventure from Kings Canyon. Just an hour's drive from Morrow Rock is Grant Grove Village, the sole gateway to Kings Canyon National Park. After learning more about the park's human and natural history at the Visitor Center, explore the General Grant Tree Trail. Peer into the fallen monarch, used by the U.S. Cavalry a century ago to stable horses, and Gamlin Cabin, the oldest remaining structure in the park. Then stand before the General Grant, the world's second largest tree. Declared the nation's Christmas tree by President Coolidge in 1926, and a living shrine to those lost in war by President Eisenhower in 1956, the roots of this giant run deep into America's consciousness. After bathing in the forest fragrances at Grant Cove, buckle up and hit the Kings Canyon Scenic Byway. Open from May to October, this incredible road snakes its way eastward, high above the Kings River. As the road descends and your grip on the steering wheel relaxes, take a breather by the cool mists of Grizzly Falls and Roaring River Falls. After 30 wild, rocky miles, the road nears its end, delivering you into the lush valley floor at Zumwalt Meadow. Wander the boardwalk around this picture-perfect Sierra meadow filled with wildflowers, berries, and birdsong as the near vertical granite giants, North Dome and Grand Sentinel, fill the sky. Whether it's the vastness of Zumwalt Meadow or the giant sequoias which reach toward the heavens, no photograph, no video, no words can fully capture the sheer scale and spirit of Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. This is a place that defies the limits of lens and language. A place where, as John Muir wrote, the snow melts into music, and between every two trees is a door leading to a new life. The only way to experience this place is to step through that door yourself.
Greatness is just being yourself and just dominate at a high level over years and doing things that no one has ever done before. As a junior, I was really, really talented, but getting into the senior level, I was still kind of young and naive and felt like I didn't need to work as hard to compete at a high level. So I feel like going to Athens and not actually making it through the first round really helped me to say, you know what, I need to look into myself and understand that if I want to be the best or if I want to win an Olympic gold medal, I need to be more dedicated. I need to work hardest. Justin Gatlin played a very important role in keeping me motivated because he kept me on my toes, he kept me working hard, he kept me knowing that every season he's going to be there. If I want to be the best, I have to be ready and be prepared to beat him. So for me, the rivalries were strong. And for me, Tyson and Justin and Asaf and Blake, they really pushed me throughout my career to stay on top of my game at all times, to be the best me. When I lost at the trials, it was tough for me at the time because I felt like I was in properly good shape. So it's something that it kind of hurt a little bit because I thought I was ready. And so after the trials, it was like, all right, it's just about work. And so it was a consistently working 4 times a day for the next 5 weeks leading up to the championships. And so for me, it was a lot of intense work because Blake kind of opened my eyes and I know he was ready and he was fit and he was running at a high level. The London experience was brilliant. After the semifinals, my confidence went up because I ran fast times, but I did it really easy and really smooth. So my confidence kind of went even higher because I didn't really compete after the trials, so I didn't know where I was. So actually going through the rounds was the first time I actually started running again and could tell that my body was in great shape. So for me, I felt great going through the rounds. I got more and more confidence. I knew I was in great shape to defend my title.
Yeah, perfect, like this. Good?
I think dominating throughout the years is very important to the legacy that I've built for myself. Because anybody can win 1 Olympics, but to actually win 3 back-to-back Olympics over the span of 8 to 10 years is very difficult, you know what I mean? For me, that's how I kept myself motivated and focused because I didn't skip a year. I didn't focus on 4 years to come. I focused on every year throughout because those years were also important to dominate and to keep training and working at a high level. The season that stand out for me was my first one in 2008. That was the first year I really started training at a high level, started doing everything my coach said I should do. So that season was very important and it was very impacting for me. 2015 was one of my toughest seasons competing, but for me the most fulfilling because it really shows that with hard work anything is possible, you know what I mean? I believed in myself. I came out on the day and I just executed, you know what I mean? I believed that I could do it and I got it done. When I watched the Olympics, I really missed it, you know what I mean? Especially watching the men 100 meters and not seeing a Jamaican in the finals. It really made me miss and really wanted to be there. For me, the girls really did extremely well for Jamaica. They really showed up. Again, Carson, as you said, for me, really showed up and blew my mind. You know what I mean? Running 45 seconds over hurdles is no easy feat. And also Alex Felix, she actually got a medal after going through all with having a kid and everything and going through what she did to really show up at the Olympics and really just get on the podium is a massive feat. If I had to relive a moment to be 2011, I think for me, that's the only blunder in my career throughout after I started in 2008. So for me, I would definitely want to redo on that one.
At British Airways, we're on our most important journey yet to a more sustainable future, and we have a clear plan to get us there. We call it Be a Better World. It's our commitment to putting sustainability at the heart of British Airways. With short, medium and long-term actions, our aim is to reduce our carbon footprint and reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050 or sooner. We are already investing in sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, a real game changer for reducing aviation's impact on the planet. And believe it or not, its journey often starts right here, in the kitchen. But what is sustainable aviation fuel? SAF can be made from a number of materials, including waste gases, crop and forestry residues, household and commercial waste, and even used cooking oil. Which made these chips? Obviously, we're not going to be putting used cooking oil directly into any of the engines that I look after. So how do we get from chips to SAF? Unlike traditional aviation fossil fuels that have taken millions of years to form underground, SAF is produced from products that are already circulating above ground and in our environment, and are renewable over just a few years or decades. Whether it's crops, residues, household waste, waste gases, or forestry offcuts, these materials all contain carbon that can be converted to SAF to power our aircraft. So while the emissions from the engines are the same for SAF or fossil fuels, SAF has the benefit of essentially recycling carbon that's already in circulation, and therefore over its life cycle can reduce emissions by 80% or more compared to traditional fossil-based jet fuel. Once the cooking oil has come to the end of its useful life making chips, it can be collected and taken to a fuel refinery for processing.
Once the used cooking oil has been collected, it ends up here at the Phillips 66 Humber refinery, where it enters this tank ready for processing. When the used cooking oil is ready to be processed, it leaves the tank via these pipelines. Through those pipes, it then arrives at this production unit, where the refinery cracks and cleans the oil to produce a high-quality jet fuel.
The used cooking oil we saw earlier has been processed and is now ready to head to the airport. SAF leaves here and enters a grid, if you like, a fuel pipeline where it is blended with conventional fossil fuel before it reaches the aircraft. And one of the places that grid of pipelines ends up is here, Heathrow Airport in London, where this aircraft is about to be refueled, including that blended sustainable aviation fuel before heading off on its next flight. Before I go and speak to the captain, let's find out why this is such a big moment for British Airways.
Sustainable aviation fuel is a vital first step to reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and finding other sources of materials that can be used to make jet fuel. As a group, we've committed to powering 10% of our flights with sustainable aviation fuel by 2030. That may not sound like much, but that's an increase of over 1,000 times in less than a decade. And to get there, we're investing in first-of-a-kind production plants like the one you visited today. Our partnership with Phillips 66 makes us the first airline in the world to use sustainable aviation fuel produced on a commercial scale in the UK.
Captain.
Morning.
Good morning. I know you're about to head off. I just need to know, how does it feel knowing that some of the fuel on board is sustainable and just began its life the other day cooking my chips?
Actually, I can't tell the difference. SAF is loaded onto the aircraft in exactly the same way as traditional fossil jet fuel. It's fully tested, it meets all the stringent safety and quality standards for commercial aviation fuel. It's come a long way from being able to cook chips. There's nothing I need to do differently in my fuel loading during the flight compared to a flight operated by fossil fuels. The performance of the aircraft doesn't change.
It's fantastic to see this aircraft and many others here at Heathrow already being part powered by sustainable aviation fuel. Increasing the development of SAF is crucial to decarbonising our industry and our planet, and I've seen over the last few days that everyone at British Airways is committed to making that happen. But you might be asking, why can't we just put the aircraft solely on SAF fuel?
So currently, the global supply of SAF is less than 1% of aviation's total demand. So there's just not enough to power all flights yet. That's why we're investing to increase its development as quickly as possible. At the moment, SAF is also several times more expensive compared to fossil jet fuel, so we're working with governments and industry partners to ensure that the right policies and incentives are available to attract investment and bring SAF to scale. As this happens, the price should drop too. We can't change the way we operate overnight. It will take time, but we're determined to lead the change that we want to see across our industry to tackle climate change.
It's been amazing to follow the journey from fire to aircraft, learn more about SAF and hear about the upcoming changes to help our planet. If you want to find out more, visit ba.com/BeABetterWorld.
When I first met the family, I was just driving through. Then I came across this painted house. I went in and our relationship started. I really feel good about the fact that people, under all odds, have decided to remain who they are. It is important that you keep your traditions because your children must know where they're coming from. And that has made me have more respect for the people in the rural areas than the people in the city. They have enriched me. It is a privilege to have known the Demanda family, for I would not have had the insight that I have today.
June 14th, 1940. During World War II, Paris falls into Nazi hands as German troops enter France's capital. That same day in German-occupied Poland, the Nazis open a concentration camp at Auschwitz. 1985. Shiite Muslim militants hijack TWA Flight 847 shortly after takeoff from Athens, Greece.
He has pulled a hand grenade pin and he is ready to blow up the aircraft if he has to. We must, I repeat, we must land at Beirut. We must land at Beirut. No alternative.
The hijackers demand the release of hundreds of Lebanese from Israeli jails. They force the plane to crisscross the Mediterranean, landing in Beirut 3 times. The 17-day ordeal ends after the hijackers kill a U.S. Navy diver and dump his body on Beirut's tarmac. 1777. During the American Revolution, the Continental Congress adopts the Stars and Stripes as the official flag for the new United States. 1928. Ernesto Che Guevara is born in Rosario, Argentina. The leftist guerrilla who fought alongside Fidel Castro in the Cuban Revolution remains a global icon. And 1946.
You're fired.
Real estate developer Donald Trump is born in New York City. Trump's celebrity hits new highs as host of the TV reality show The Apprentice. Today in History, June 14th. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,